Thank you so much. That was a very clear list of 3 asks that was very succinctly delivered and very well heard by me. Look, it's an absolute pleasure to join you this morning. It's lovely to see Natasha, who was incredibly helpful to me when we were in opposition and does an incredible job. So good to see her here too. So right now, my colleagues are in Baku and they're getting stuck into the second week of climate negotiations. We may be 3,000 miles away and 4 time zones apart, and I'm not sure there are many cricket stadiums in Azerbaijan, but the discussions we are having today are intrinsically linked. Because everywhere they go at COP, whether that's the Prime Minister or the Secretary of State or the Climate Minister, they're spreading the same message. We are halfway through the decisive decade to halt climate change, and we are way off track. So it's up to all of us, from Baku to Brixton, to change that trajectory by pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible, whether it's in hydrogen, carbon capture, or renewables. It's our job to prove that climate action goes hand in hand with energy security, with lower bills, and with economic growth. That's the pledge which we fought and won the election on. A pledge to make us safer by reducing our reliance on volatile fossil fuel markets. A pledge to make people better off by protecting them from spikes in bills, as well as creating hundreds of thousands of green jobs. And a pledge to build a more sustainable future as we accelerate to net zero. I was in Poland last week at the Rebuild Ukraine conference, an annual conference looking at how to help Ukraine rebuild its energy infrastructure. And we saw since that conference the attacks that we have witnessed from Putin attacking again energy supplies in Ukraine. And the Ukrainian ministers were talking about hydrogen, they were talking about carbon capture, they were talking about renewable energy, because they understand, just as we do, that in order to secure our security in the future, as well as tackle the climate change, we need to be embracing these new technologies. I think it's fair to say we've made a good start in terms of the new government. Our clean energy mission is only 5 months in, but we've already lifted the ban on onshore wind. We have consented large amounts of solar. We held the most successful renewables auction in UK history. We have begun setting up Great British Energy. We've overseen the end of 142 years of coal-powered electricity generation and fired the starting gun on a whole new carbon capture industry. But nobody is under any illusions that our clean energy mission, including our Clean Power 2030 target, will be easy. Just like all the best missions, this one is designed to be stretching. It's designed to galvanise action behind a clear direction of travel. And it will only succeed if we're willing to use every tool in our arsenal. So let me be clear, hydrogen is one of the best tools we have. Everyone here understands the benefits. Not only can hydrogen help us decarbonise heavy industry and transport, including the most energy-intensive and hard-to-electrify sectors, it can also work with large-scale storage to provide a stable baseload of power, vital for a grid based on intermittent renewables. To put it simply, without a stable hydrogen economy, we won't hit our targets. But what's especially exciting about this sector is its potential for growth. We're still right at the start of our hydrogen story, but that's not an excuse to sit back and see which way the wind blows. It's a call to action. There are so many opportunities here to cut emissions, pioneer new technologies, and develop strong domestic supply chains, all while creating jobs and boosting growth in our industrial heartlands. So I was delighted to hear that Hydrogen UK estimates the sector could deliver 30,000 jobs and add £7 billion to our economy by 2030. And now we're determined to work with you all to realise that potential. First, by building closer links with industry. As co-chair of the Hydrogen Delivery Council, it's my job to bring industry and government together to coordinate efforts to expand the hydrogen economy. And as a new government, we are listening carefully to what you are telling us about both the challenges and the opportunities, so that we can ensure our domestic industry is supported. Second, we're putting our money where our mouth is. In the budget, we committed £2.3 billion for the 11 green hydrogen projects announced in the first hydrogen allocation round. And that's on top of £240 million in capital grant support through the Net Zero Hydrogen Fund, paving the way for a pioneering set of low-carbon projects across the country. We've also announced record funding of up to £21.7 billion over 25 years for hydrogen and carbon capture projects in 2 of our major industrial clusters, including EET Hydrogen in Merseyside, our first large-scale blue hydrogen project. Together, these clusters are expected to create thousands of jobs while bringing in £8 billion in private investment. At the same time, at least £5.8 billion of new National Wealth Fund's capital will also go to clean energy sectors and supply chains, including green hydrogen and carbon capture. But the best way to build supply chains is, of course, through the delivery of projects. And that's why, thirdly, we're doing everything we can to bring the hydrogen economy to life. Officials in my department are currently finalising contracts and agreements on that first wave of projects. We're intending to offer contracts through the Low Carbon Contracts Company as soon as possible to allow them to take final investment decisions. We're also evaluating all the applicants in the second round, which saw a significant increase both in terms of capacity and number, as we continue to lay the groundwork for a hydrogen economy which is competitive and well regulated. I know that our previous updates to markets have been invaluable in providing a sense of overall progress, and I am pleased to let you know that we will publish our next update to the market, including a forward look this winter. But we're also keen to help you unlock the opportunities of the international market for hydrogen goods and services. We've been working proactively with partners to shape the development of global markets, rules and standards, while promoting the role of UK industry within that. Take the UK-Germany hydrogen partnership, signed just over a year ago. It's put both of us at the cutting edge of this new industry. And we'll be deepening that collaboration over the coming years, something you'll hear about more later today. So when COP29 ends on Friday and the world's attention drifts elsewhere, it's up to us to continue innovating and driving the transition forward. After all, we have one of the most attractive business environments around. We have a cutting-edge hydrogen sector. We have a whole range of programs and investment funds ready to support you. So let's work together to harness these strengths and make the UK a genuine global leader on hydrogen as we build the cleaner, more secure, more prosperous future we know is possible. Thank you. I'm looking because I'm thinking you might want to do some questions.
If you can do some questions.
I can do some questions.
Do you want to go and sit down and we'll do a...
You can do it, yeah?
Oh, no, you haven't got the mic.
I haven't got a mic.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I don't have to do questions. I don't want to, but I can.
We want you to do questions, definitely. Okay, can I have we'll only do like a couple of questions because I know we're running quite late already. I mean, I've sort of got just a general question on what the government's, your key milestones are. You've got a room full of industry people who are all desperate to help. What can they do to help you reach those key milestones?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got to get the FIDs for the HAR1 projects over the line. I'm really keen to get this market update to everybody by winter, which will set a sort of direction of travel and a forward look. We've then got the spending review, which is obviously the big push that we're working towards, and we are completely committed to the CCUS Track 2 to HAR2. We need to get those through the process of the spending review, and we need to build from there. There's a whole raft of work going on about the regulations, about the global market that our officials are working on with industry, and all of that is being defined as we go. But I think I want to just be really clear that we're very ambitious in this space and we want to make sure we're going as fast as possible. I said in opposition a lot to hydrogen colleagues that I didn't want the election to sort of slow things down, and inevitably just the business of having an election means you lose a few months. But I want us to push as hard as we can to get these projects over the line and to begin to develop that network.
That's brilliant. It's really positive. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Is there anybody who's got kind of a burning question for the Minister before she leaves? Yes, gentleman there.
One thing that hasn't been mentioned is domestic gas, just touched on. Now, heavy industry is important, but the government's policy, I call the Marie-Antoinette policy, which is let them use heat pumps. Now, in practice, a lot of people won't be able to use heat pumps, or they won't be able to afford it, or they'll simply say, no, I don't want to, and no government's going to force domestic customers to do anything. Can you be sure that domestic gas hydrogen is in the programme, and as soon as possible, every single new boiler for replacement should be 100% hydrogen compatible? At the moment, I understand they're not. They're still being developed.
Thank
It's
you.
important.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, you've touched on a huge challenge, and as we heard earlier, the amount of challenge in heat is very large, and of course the market for heat pumps at the moment is not where we would want it to be, in part because there hasn't been an offer that is attractive to people, that is commercially sensible for them in terms of viability for individual people, and part of the answer is to make sure we're supporting people who can and have the infrastructure in their homes to be able to have a heat pump, to be able to get one. So there's a whole raft of work going on in that space. But you're right, there's a big challenge there, and we haven't quite got the answers to that. And I think it's something that, in the department we're working on very, very hard.
Sarah, thank you so much. And I know you're very pressed for time. So, but thank you so much for coming, and thank you very much for speaking to us and being so positive about hydrogen. Great start to the day. Thank you. Oh, is it not? Right, so